Tonight's Digital Production Buzz is brought to you by Shutterstock and Otherworld Computing.
Rolling! Action!
Since the dawn of digital filmmaking,
authoritative.
One show serves a worldwide network of media professionals.
Current.
uniting industry experts,
Production.
filmmakers,
Post-production.
and content creators around the planet.
Distribution.
From the media capital of the world in Los Angeles, California, the Digital Production Buzz goes live now.
Welcome to the Digital Production Buzz, the world's longest-running podcast for creative content producers covering media production, post-production, marketing, and distribution around the world. Hi, my name is Larry Jordan, and joining us, our effervescent and well-relaxed co-host, Mr. Mike Horton. Hello, Mike. Hello, Mike.
Yes. Back from NAB. Hello.
I tell you, the NAB must have been more...
Yeah, it was really exciting.
Well, I think it was the day after the Super Meet is what took you out.
Oh, boy. I'm still recovering, and I know you probably are, right?
We did. It's amazing. We did 12 and a half hours of programming in 3.5 days. You had 1,200 people in the audience standing on their chairs screaming.
At least.
It was very cool.
It was wonderful, and thank you for showing up and going to all of our sponsors and thanking them, each and every one of them.
I told them that Mike Horton sent me and that
and that's why we got no complaints. Larry visited me.
We've got a great show. We're going to start our show with Jem Schofield. He's a producer, director, and founder of the C47, which is an educational resource focused on teaching the craft of video production. Tonight, Jem shares his reaction to the 2015 NAB Show that was last week in Las Vegas, although it seems like just yesterday, along with some new lighting products they released at the show. Next, Sam Mestman, the workflow architect for FCPWorks, is a leading integrator for the Final Cut Pro 10 platform. Sam designed the workflow for Focus, the recent Will Smith release, which was edited entirely in Final Cut Pro 10. And tonight, he explains what they did and a brand new shared storage product, which is just causing all kinds of interest on the web.
Yeah, Sam showed that last night at the LassiePug meeting, and it's blowing up all over the web today. So it's impressive.
Very interesting. I want to learn more about it. Finally, Bryan McMahan joins us in studio for a discussion about color. Bryan recently color-graded Knight of Cups, directed by Terrence Malick, and tonight Bryan shares his secrets behind the look of the film. By the way, last week, The Buzz produced an amazing 12 hours of programming covering all the leading companies in our industry at NAB, and for the first time, we covered the show with video as well as audio. You can see all of our interviews at nabshowbuzz.com. And Mike, what do you remember most from NAB?
Did you get up to the drone pavilion upstairs, or did you get to see anything?
I saw some of the South Lower, but that was
the drone pavilion was really fun. It was this enclosed cage of drones flying all over the place, and lectures and people talking about drones. That was a lot of fun. And then I sort of quickly walked around. I just, after the Super Meet, I was dead, and I walked a little bit and saw some great monitors and a lot of 4K. Everybody was talking 4K. Every sentence 4K.
Well, it was like 4K was a given. It's just interesting.
Yeah, but it was still every sentence was 4K. Hey, by the way, did the video work out for you? I mean, were there any glitches?
Yeah, we did individual interviews and complete shows, and
it all worked.
It's all working.
Amazing.
It was. We had a great team.
That's hard.
They are still recovering, however.
Yeah, that's hard.
A lot of bodies lying around. It was amazingly difficult, but looked really good. And we talked to so many industry experts. It was a wonderful opportunity to get the status report on what's happening in the industry.
And you had wonderful licorice too at your table.
Yeah, it was great.
I stopped by and got that.
You can learn more at nabshowbuzz.com, and remember to visit with us on Facebook at digitalproductionbuzz.com. We're also on Twitter at DPBuzz, and you can subscribe to our free weekly show newsletter at digitalproductionbuzz.com for an inside look at both our show and the industry. Mike and I are coming right back with a summary of NAB and a conversation with Jem Schofield right after this. Finding the perfect royalty-free image or video for your creative project can be a crucial step in the filmmaking process. And whether it's for your website, publication, or video segment, the experts at Shutterstock.com can help you choose from over 2 million royalty-free HD and 4K stock video clips, including time-lapses, aerials, green screens, and model-released clips. Sourcing over 12,000 brand new video clips each week, Shutterstock consistently offers the highest quality stills and video clips from professional filmmakers. Plus, Shutterstock provides sophisticated search engine tools so you can search and drill down by category, clip resolution, contributor name, and more. Also, use their great no-risk try-before-you-buy options so you can see how their clips will look in your project before making a single purchase. Try Shutterstock today. Sign up for a free account. No credit card is needed. And as an added bonus to you, enter promo code BuZZ2014 before December 31st to receive 25% off any footage package. Discover Shutterstock.com. That's Shutterstock.com. Jem Schofield is a producer, director, and the founder of the C47, which is an educational resource focused on teaching the craft of video production and filmmaking. He uses production-based workshops throughout the United States and abroad to teach some of these concepts. He also runs the Filmmakers Intensive, which is a biannual program that focuses on the art and science of documentary and narrative filmmaking. Hello, Jem. Welcome.
Thank you, Larry. Nice to be here.
There we go. We are glad to have you with us. Jem, the NAB just finished. What struck you as some of the highlights?
It was an interesting year. For me, it didn't have sort of the normal splash of previous years, but it was, I think, you know, we had the normal Blackmagic stuff. I'm just going to move the headphones here. It's coming through there pretty loud. So normal Blackmagic stuff, 38 products that they released. But I think that for me, it was sort of a lot of companies who were refining things that they've been trying to get really right for a long time. We did have Canon announce the C300 Mark II, so that was a long-awaited camera. But almost everything else in the space was kind of an evolution of products that each of these companies have been making for quite some time. So I thought that was interesting.
I was watching the podcast that you did where you were talking about the cameras at NAB, and I was struck by the number of different new cameras that caught your attention from the C300. Although you liked the FS7 better, you had a number of other camera highlights that you liked. What was it that caught your attention?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely wouldn't say I like the FS7 better. The C300 Mark II doesn't exist yet, and in a lot of ways, it might be the camera system I lean towards because I have been using Cinema EOS cameras for a long time. It seems like Blackmagic has finally, I don't know if they've become a camera company yet, Larry, but they have, they've released a camera, or at least announced a camera that will release, which is the Ursa Mini, which seems to be kind of their first camera, except for the little pocket camera, that you could say has been designed in an ergonomic way for a real-world shooter without rigging it. JVC came out with, not at NAB, but they were really showing their 300. Numbers, you know, letters 300, which is their Micro Four Thirds mounted for 35mm sensor-based camera system. Kind of the promise of, I think, what people were hoping the DVX 200 was going to be, which is also a camera that was announced by Panasonic, which is a Micro Four Thirds fixed lens camera. And I have a long history with DVX cameras. I still have my DVX 100A downstairs in my studio, and I use it as a mini DV deck, basically. But need arises not very often nowadays.
Did you see any new lighting gear that caught your attention? And the reason I ask is I was struck by the number of new LED lights that were now focusable.
I did. Yeah. Lighting is really sort of my obsession. And the vast majority of what I taught at NAB this year in Post-Production World Conference, and then a lot of my workshops, is about lighting. Composition and camera movement as well. Lighting is really what I spend most of my time, figuring out. I've been a big fan of the sort of evolution of LED-based technology. It doesn't have that same color spectrum an Omni light that I have right now bouncing has. It's our good old extend quartz halogen sources. But things like remote phosphor from companies like Cineo Lighting, DBS Lighting, now Ari's gotten into the game. Now we have some really interesting things like Flex Light from Westcott, which is a completely flexible, water-resistant LED light source, which you can basically gaff tape onto a wall, and has the same or better output than a regular 1x1 LED light. So some exciting stuff. And then we also have these glowing panels. This one behind me is from ICANN. There were other companies that were showing them. And they're edge-based LEDs, and they just basically glow a flat panel, kind of like what Roscoe is doing for a while, but you don't see the individual tiny dots. So it just feels like a soft panel, kind of like solid light from Kino, but in a much smaller format. So lighting is getting pretty exciting.
I want to talk about the C47 that you started, but before we do, could you define, because I think it's a great story, could you define where C47 came from?
The most common story?
We'll take the most common, but the one you want to tell, whichever.
I think the most common one goes back to the golden age of Hollywood and line items to be reimbursed for budgets on feature films, and people using clothespins to hold gels and diffusion on barn doors on lights, and then putting in to be reimbursed for clothespins and getting rejected and resubmitting under under C47s and probably jacking up the price by 10, 20, 100x. Getting reimbursed, no problem.
I'd always heard that clothespins were a line item in a grip catalog, and it was the product number for clothespins in a grip catalog. But I like your story, too.
I've heard that one, too. And I've also heard that there were bins in the military, not the planes, bins, and the clothespins were also labeled C47. So it's there's lots of myths, and it's good that way.
So tell me what the C47 is and why you started it.
It started the C47 really because I'd been an educator already, Mike knows this, for a long time in the post-production space. But I had been doing production, and I realized it was sort of, at least at the time, this is pre-5D Mark II. There was a sort of a black hole in terms of production-based training. So there's very little going on, even at NAB, teach people about cameras, lighting, camera movement, any of those things. And so started the C47. I started a daily video podcast back then, 5 days a week for 3.5 years. Let's see if I can turn up my mic here.
When you're putting these educational programs together, what's the focus in terms of what subjects are you trying to teach, and describe a typical student?
Well, it depends on where I'm teaching. At NAB, it's really about the highest level student that I'd be teaching, because it's usually working professionals who are going about their craft on a daily basis, and they're either coming on their own or they're being sent by the company that they're working for to get trained in both production and post. There's also been, I think, both of you have probably noticed a trend in the corporate world where, because there's so much video content that's being produced, they're bringing in in-house producers to start with, and then they're building teams of in-house production departments. And so I'm seeing that. I'm seeing Google in my classes, Sci-Fi Channel, Macy's. I went down to Motley Fool and did on-site training with about 12 people there, producing 7 to 10 videos a day. So we're seeing a big change. So So education is important in this space. And while in the beginning, when the 5D Mark II came out, a lot of the people were transitioning from still to motion, or there were some people in post who wanted to get it production because now cost of entry was even lower. We're really seeing the gamut now. So I'm seeing a lot of producers, I'm seeing a lot of DPs, and sometimes I'll run programs for people who are just beginning. For summer, and then I'm teaching people who have been at it for a long time. Maybe they've been doing something the same way 15 years, and they want to take a look at how to bounce light. Maybe they're not even thinking about bouncing light. I can show them that. You know, working with negative film cutters and other tools, and also ways to move their camera more cinematic, integrating tools like motion control systems from companies like Kessler, free fly systems, Movi, and shoulder-mounted rigs, which have been used since forever. But how do you use those? How do you move the camera when you're using those things? What are clients looking for in a frame? And it's not just shooting at f1.4.
Are you finding it easy or hard to get people to attend face-to-face training? Mike is always remarking on how challenging it is to get people to come out and participate in activities with a group. I was wondering if you're finding the same situation with your clients.
Yeah. How was attendance at Post-Production World this year?
It was very good. It dipped a few years ago, but I think that dip was overall for the conference. But it's been a healthy attendance as far as I can see in terms of numbers in my classroom. My classes average about 100 to 150 people in the class, the Post-Production World. Lighting is a hot topic, a mystery topic, so I think it also brings a lot of people into the seats. I think we're in better shape in production than we are in terms of the trend we've seen happen with post-production training. I think that's largely moved to an online distribution model. So,
but you do that too, don't you? I mean, you have video tutorials up there for people to watch.
I do. They're not paid though, so I think that's a little different. What I try to do is I try to produce educational content either through the C47 or, fortunately, by being a producer and getting hired by companies like Canon, that is free educational content. I believe in the models that Moviola and the Lint.coms of the world and have, but they're just not the models that I'm in. And I think there's definitely an expectation from an audience's standpoint that they would rather have content be sponsored content and be able to learn and not pay for it.
Yeah. Anything above free is expensive.
To pay for content, though there are corporations and companies that are definitely set up and willing to do that. And again, some of the models that are out there. So it's interesting space.
Yeah.
Interesting is a very, very interesting word to use. Fascinating is another one, and terrifying is a third that comes to mind. I was just reflecting. I was looking back at my notes. You just
third one, terrifying.
Terrifying
for sure.
I got to make a living.
Yeah, bills are due. You just won an award for some of your lighting products. Am my notes incorrect here?
No, they're correct.
What did you get?
I've had this. Newshooter.com awarded Westcott, which is a company that people have probably heard of, best lighting product. And it was specifically for a new lighting control system that they released that they had a lot to do with, called Scrim Jim Cine, sort of the evolution of the Scrim Jim line. And I've been working with them for close to 10 months, using their products for years. And I was able to design 2 specific kits for them based around this new system. One of them is a DP kit. It's a portable 4-foot by 4-foot frame that breaks down into 22-inch tubes. And then the other one is a 4 by 6-foot booklight kit. And They're really designed for small to medium-sized productions, easy to travel with, and allow people to get consistently great results, not just using Westcott's lights, but anybody's lights to really kind of bump up their productions and production value. So yeah, it's kind of nice to that. But it's just the beginning. It's probably going to come out by Cine Gear. We're just making final tweaks, and I actually have a call with them tomorrow, so we can kind of game plan the next 6 to 8 weeks, so we can create a lot of content around the system and start to teach people how they work. And there's actually some sneak peeks on the c47.com that got posted today about that whole system. It's kind of cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah, congrats.
Congratulations. What aspect, and we got about 2 minutes left, what aspect of being an educator do you think is most valuable to your students? What do they turn to you for rather than somebody else?
Well, I don't know if it's rather than somebody else, but I would say that I'm in it for the long haul. So I've been doing it for 15 years. I'm passionate about education, and I'm constantly learning myself so that I can teach people new skills. I would say in the classroom, I'm enthusiastic about people learning for application. So this is a doing this business we're in. It's not about passing tests. It's about every day is different, and we're problem solving. And that's how I approach my education. I don't teach for an outline, though I always have an outline. I teach for the people who are in the room. And I think that's why people come back. Because I'm there to give them everything I can within the time that I have. And hopefully they'll walk away having a different viewpoint, or having learned a new skill that they can actually apply to the work that they're doing. That's probably why. Hopefully.
That's very cool.
Well,
Jem?
you don't get 150 people in your class at post-production world unless you're good.
That's for sure.
And Jem's one of the best.
And Jem, where can people go on the web to learn more about what you're doing?
Easily at thec47.com.
That's all one word, THE, the letter C, 47, thec47.com. And Jem Schofield is the founder of the C47. Jem, it's been a delight visiting. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Larry.
Thanks, Jem.
Take care. Bye-bye. When you're working with media, one thing is essential. Your computer needs peak performance. However, when it comes to upgrading your Mac, there are so many different options to choose from that the process can be confusing. That's why Otherworld Computing carries the best upgrades that lets your computer performance and storage grow as your needs grow. Since 1988, OWC has become one of the most trusted names in quality hardware and comprehensive support to the worldwide computer industry. With an extensive online catalog of Mac, iPhone, and iPad enhancement products, as well as a dedicated team of knowledgeable experts providing first-rate tech support, OWC has everything you need to take your current system to the next level. Whether you need to maximize your system's memory, add blazing speed, or enhance reliability, look no further than the friendly experts at OWC. Learn more by visiting macsales.com today. That's macsales.com.
Super wide-angle lens on it.
It's our brand new Hidden in the Rafters camera.
Yeah.
Sam Mestman is the workflow architect for FCPWorks, a leading integrator for the Final Cut Pro 10 platform. He's also the CEO of We Make Movies, the world's first community-funded production company. But he has an even deeper secret, which I'm going to tell you about in just a minute. Hello, Sam. Welcome back.
Hey, Larry, how you doing?
Hey, Sam.
We are doing great.
Oh, hey, Mike.
Yeah, I'm here.
Sam, let's get right to the star part of this. You were involved in setting up the workflow for the recent Will Smith film Focus. What did you do?
Well, basically, it was a privilege to go and work with all the guys from Focus. Sorry, I've got a little bit of an echo on my side, but we basically put together the workflow to allow the first group of editors to edit a studio feature on Final Cut 10. And the truth of the matter is we kind of proved that you can do it. And it was a pleasure to work with Jan Kovac, Len Ficara, and the team to go and make this thing happen. And what I did was largely help the studio approve the process, and then was there during production and then on through post. I remember we had a bit of a conversation while I was there in New Orleans as that was happening that I guess we can now talk about. And that was right before you were at, I think, where was it? IBC, I think you made the announcement.
Yep.
So that was right when that was happening. I think almost 2 years ago now, and now the movie's out, and it's pretty clear that this actually did happen.
The film was edited in Final Cut Pro 10. Did they work with a custom version of Final Cut, or was it off the shelf?
This was entirely off the shelf. This was with shipping software throughout. There was no custom version. This is the way we made the movie, and it got better as we went along. We transitioned from 10.9 to 10.1 when 10.1 came out, the library model, and we finished in 10.2 when it was all said and done.
Really?
And so, you know, I think the workflow grew and evolved as the software grew and evolved, and we incorporated new tools like the Mac Pro and a new version of Xan and Mavericks and all of these other things. It was kind of a journey, I guess, from where we started to where we ended.
Isn't the rule as a consultant is to tell your people that they're not supposed to upgrade during a project?
Well, in the Final Cut 10 world, we do things a little bit different. The truth of the matter is there were some very clear reasons why we made those decisions, and there was clear workflow reasons. And, you know, it was a judgment call, definitely, but the fundamental app and some of these and the way that things worked shifted so much between 10.9 and 10.1 that it was a call that we had to make, although we did not take it lightly.
Workflow is a delicate balance between engineering and editing. What makes the creation of a workflow so interesting to you?
I think the most important aspect of workflow is figuring out how to get from the shortest way from point A to point B. And I think so often in terms of the way teams, it's not just about the software you use. It's how are you going to get from set to the DIT, to dailies, to editorial, to sound, to color, to VFX. What is your pipeline? And assembling that and going from department to department, I think, and figuring out what the best way to do that for a team is what's really interesting on the workflow side. It's not just about, well, we're going to edit here, we're going to do this many revisions, and this is the process. It's literally, how are you going to take this thing that's shot on set and get it up onto a screen in front of millions of people? And that, I think, there's a lot more to that than just what NLE you're using.
Oh, I'm a firm believer there's a whole lot more than just the software you use for editing. And thinking of that, part of what makes editing such a challenge is the amount of storage that we need for our products. And I can't go anywhere on the web today without reading about this shared storage product you announced yesterday. Tell us about it.
Well, actually, it's kind of interesting. Mike, you saw this in person last night, but it's right here. This is it. So
it's a big box. It's a huge box.
It's got blinking lights.
It's got blinking lights. Or do those lights blink?
Blinking lights, and it's a box. That's literally all it is. You know, it's simple. Most people are used to seeing a giant rack and a chassis and all of this other stuff, and it's loud. And you know, I'm doing this interview right now. Do you guys hear a server going?
No, I don't.
Now, we had this set up last night with about 7 computers and 7 monitors in this box. You couldn't hear a thing, and it's in a small, intimate place.
But Sam, it's a server. Why should we care? I mean, it's just yet another server, is it not?
Well, you know, I mean, you could say that about anything, but what it really is a collaborative workflow solution that allows a group of editors to work with their Final Cut 10 libraries on the server, which I think is a fundamental difference to what most people currently are able to do. And not only that, but we were shooting out 84 streams of 4K across 6 machines last night. So the power and throughput that you can do at the price point that we're delivering at, you know, I would love to see someone else show me a better solution, because we designed it because we were looking for a solution that didn't currently exist on the market.
So when you say we, who's we, and does this thing have a name, or is it just the big box with green lights?
So I literally just pushed publish, and I think there's a couple changes that I need to make on the new site. So the official promotional flyer is there for the LumaShare, which is what this is called, and I think you know Neil Smith pretty well, and this is from LumaForge. Neil Smith is actually the designer, and he is the person who put the pieces together, and I kind of came in and helped refine the workflow and how this might work for a Final Cut 10 user, and really, to be honest, the creative work group in general. This works just fine with Premiere, Resolve, etc. It's not just for the Final Cut 10, but it is optimized for it. And it is lumaforge.com, and I've got a couple revisions to make, but it's launching May 1st. So that is when the new site's going to debut. We've got a little bit of a placeholder with the announcement now, and I'm looking forward to seeing the video from last night, but we're really excited about it.
Is anybody actually using this yet, Sam?
There is, actually. He was there last night. You know Chuck Braverman?
Yeah, well, we all do.
So Chuck Braverman has this in his office currently at the moment, and Patrick Southern, who was helping us with the demo last night, is putting it through its paces, and they're cutting. This is in the wild, it's working, and we're looking forward to hopefully a lot more in the wild.
And it's pretty much plug and play.
I mean, it's as plug and play as collaborative workflow gets. It ships with IPs built in. It ships with, you know, you can connect clients immediately. If you're going to go into Final Cut 10, there's a couple things that we want to do for you to optimize. But aside from that, you know, you can go and be up and running out of the box like it's configured for you.
Very quickly, about how much storage and what price range?
Okay, so HD workflows start from about $9,000. And 4K workflows start from about 23,000. So basically, depending on what type of drives and how many users, the price is going to fluctuate. You can also do SSD workflows, and those prices start at around, I think, $50,000. But I think the sweet spot for 4K is 2.5-inch drives. So you can 9 to 15 3.5-inch drives.
And
36.
Sam,
Sorry,
I'm going to cut you off. Where can people go on the web to learn more about this toy quickly?
Lumaforge.com.
That's all one word, Lumaforge, lumaforge.com. Sam Mestman is a workflow architect for FCPWorks. Sam, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Larry.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Sam.
I've got a ton of brand new training videos showcasing all the new features in Final Cut Pro 10.2, and they're all available today. In fact, we've updated our entire Final Cut training for this release. We added more than 70 new movies covering every major and minor new feature in the software. Then I figured as long as I was recording, I added new techniques and new ways of working that I've discovered and written about in my newsletter over the years. We've updated our workflow and editing training with 31 new movies and effects with 41 new movies. This makes our Final Cut training the most comprehensive, most up-to-date, and most affordable way to learn everything about this amazing software. It's quick, it's easy, and it's complete. I'm proud of all of my training, and especially proud of this one. Get your copy today in our store at larryjordan.com, or even better, become a member of our video training library and get access to all of our training for one low monthly price. Both are incredible values. Thanks. It's nice to finally see somebody in studio.
Yes.
Bryan McMahan is a feature film colorist at Modern VideoFilm who's collaborated with talented cinematographers such as Emmanuel Lubezki and director Terrence Malick. He works on productions such as Night of Cups and Tree of Life. We talk with him tonight about his amazing work, color grading Night of Cups. Hello, Bryan. Good to have you with us.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Bryan, what first got you interested in the process of light and color?
I started doing color when really digital color first started off. No one really knew where it was going at the time, and I learned. I did a little bit of film timing to learn from those guys who were the masters.
Now, what's film timing mean?
Film timing is the old timing for film, no digital. If you're on a Hazeltine or I don't know what it's called now, you're using lights. Red, green, blue, or yellow, magenta, cyan, depending on where you are. And it's manual light timing of film.
So you would shine a faint red light through a film to give it more of a red color?
You would look at like a monitor, but you were changing the red, green, blue. You had from 0 to 50 of lights. If you want to brighten everything, you just turn them all up or down depending on what element you're on. And the whole image would either get lighter, darker. If you wanted to warm something up, you would add red, and it's an overall color. It's nothing like digital.
It sounds like it's you get it right or you screw it up.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can't change your mind.
You're a little limited.
Yeah, but no wonder these guys are the masters.
Yeah, yeah.
So what did you do with Night of Cups?
It started, I got involved in the very beginning. Terry and Chivo asked me to do the dailies because they shot it, it was in edit for about a year. And Terry he's going to get used to the look of the dailies. So we wanted to make sure that all the dailies were done right, that the look is what was intended. So when we did the final color, it was what everybody was used to.
You were color grading on set?
No, they were shooting local. I would do it every morning, kind of like the old traditional dailies.
But you were color grading before they would review the dailies?
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure to get it right, isn't it?
Yeah, well, Chivo and I talked almost every day, and I would send him stills. The movie was shot with various formats, so I would send him off stills every day of what we were doing, and he would call me if he had any changes, and we'd take it from there.
Were there big changes between day to day, or was it pretty much just matching day to day from what you did like last Tuesday and was going to be the same as Thursday?
The film is not necessarily like a traditional film where you have a whole scene in one area and then you move to another area. It bounces around a lot. So, if there was something specific they were looking for, then we would talk ahead of time. But Terry goes for what he calls a no-look look. So he's not trying to make it very warm, or very colorful, very dark, very moody. It's pretty much like looking out a window. So in that respect, it wasn't that difficult for dailies at least, to just do a normal pass on it.
And yeah, well, he shot in 35, and he shot in 65, and he shot in different formats throughout the whole shooting of the movie, right?
Yeah, every day I would have not a lot of 65, but every day we would have 35 millimeter Arri and GoPro.
GoPro?
GoPro, a little bit of Blackmagic here and there, pretty much whatever they could throw at it.
How hard was it to work with all those different formats? Because they all start from a different place.
They do. It wasn't bad. Once you get establish a look for it, I mean, the GoPro is a little bit limited as far as what I can do. But it's amazing how well it cut together. Every day I would sit and watch a 15-foot screen, and I'd do the 35 millimeter, and then I'd do the Arri, and then I'd do the GoPro, and it all kind of flowed together pretty well.
Why so many different formats?
Different look.
Just one of those different looks.
A different look,
Okay.
but you want it to all look the same. How do you reconcile those two sentences?
Well, the GoPro, obviously, with the lens difference, it has a different look. They can throw it around, do things that they can't do with everything else. The Arri is a beautiful low light camera, but nothing can catch the highlights like film.
So I'm finding this interesting because he used a Arri digital camera. Is that what you're saying, the Alexa? And I always thought Terrence Malick was a bit of a film snob, like Quentin Tarantino, and a few others just wouldn't shoot digital.
This is,
but he obviously wanted that look.
Yeah.
If there is such a thing, because I can't tell the difference. Maybe you can, but that Alexa and the Red, they're very cinematic-looking cameras.
They're great cameras.
Yeah.
They are.
We have a live chat going, and Sore Feet's asking, is there a certain film type or certain camera format that you really like to work with?
Well, I love film. 65 is great, but you don't see it very often.
Yeah, you're like one of the last people actually to be able to work on that. That's really cool because nobody's using it.
Yeah.
And Christopher Nolan maybe and a couple other people. That's about it.
Yeah. I like the Arri. I just like the look of the Arri. But like I said, you just can't get the highlights like you can on film.
Now, when you're shooting with the Arri, are you shooting a RAW format or are you shooting one of the baked-in formats? And if so, is there a special trick to working with RAW?
No, there's no special trick necessarily. We on this picture we did all RAW. So we took the RAW Arri. I used an Arri LUT. Just a standard Arri LUT. Sometimes I go without a LUT. It depends on the scene. It's pretty standard, really. But I like to work with the RAW as much as I can.
Because?
If I need any handles of exposure or anything like that, I can get to them. I'm not limited by somebody's idea of what I should be looking at, which is what happens with LUTs.
Yeah.
So
a lot of colorists say that. That's kind of interesting, isn't it?
Well, it's, especially if you were messing with them in the early days. Most LUTs were film-based in the early days. So they were, I'd get a LUT and it would force me into a film kind of a area of the heel. It's just not, it's somebody else's idea of how things should look. And it's a great tool, but I find myself more and more not using them at all.
Well, seeing as your job is to create the look, you'd want to be as unrestrained as possible.
Exactly.
Sore Feet is also asking how you're coping with the end of film.
You don't sound like you care.
Well,
you sound like a digital guy.
I love film. Look, film's going to be around as far as, we're still doing a lot of the older movies. We're doing restorations on them.
Yeah, thank goodness.
Can't light those, though.
Boy, they're beautiful.
Some of the black and whites are just stunning.
Oh, we just did Thin Red Line, and it's just gorgeous. But I really like the Arri.
You just remastered Thin Red Line? It's not that old of a movie.
Yeah, we just did a 4K DCP. It's
really?
Beautiful.
Wow.
But the Arri is great with low lights and things like that. It's a great camera, but it doesn't quite have the range of film.
Yeah, I'm telling you, only you guys and cinematographers can see that. I just can't. I love going to the movies now, and when you can go to a movie 2 weeks after it's opened, and there ain't a hair or a split or any of that stuff. It's just a nice, clean, crisp image, and I love it. So I don't miss film at all.
I miss film as a pickup, not as a recording medium, as a capture. I don't miss film prints that much.
Yeah, true. Tell us about what Night of Cups is about, and how did you achieve a no-look look?
Yeah, tell us what it's about. Tell us what that movie's about, will you?
Just a summary for people that may not have yet seen it.
It's a guy who's kind of looking. wandering through life, much like we do when we walk outside and we're just thinking to ourselves. The no-look look is, like I said, it's like looking out a window. It's like looking at each other. You know, it's not a specific, don't make it dark, don't make it light, don't go colorful, not colorful, just natural as we can make it, which is actually a lot harder to do than giving something a look.
Why is that?
Because when you give something a look, let's say we're going to make this area very warm and desaturated. We give it that look, and it's kind of easy. Everything is kind of warm and desaturated. You have a little bit of a crutch almost. To give something a no-look look on a continuous basis when you're bouncing from different areas, it's tough.
You know, when you go see a Terrence Malick movie, it's you never kind of sit there and go, that's really a no-look look. There's always a look to a Terrence Malick. And it has something to do with where they're placing the camera and where the angles is and everything else. But he's definitely got a style.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And you have, Chivo shooting it. I mean, it's beautiful stuff.
Thomas also in our live chat's asking, when you say Arri, you mean the Arri Alexa?
The Alexa, yeah.
He wanted to be sure, and he was confused.
Yeah.
With the creation of the final look, first, what software were you using to create the look for dailies, and how did you prevent that from baking into the clips so you could go back to the raw and update it later?
In the dailies process, we were scanning film at 2K. We were on a color front. We were scanning the film at 2K, and obviously the Arri was what it was. But none of that was used when we did the final. We scanned all the film at 4K.
Did it all get scanned at the same time, or did you only scan the stuff you were going to use?
Just the stuff we were going to use. There's a lot of film. I think it was I think about a 45, 48-day shoot, and we were doing about 3 to 5 hours of material a day.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff. No, well, that's everything.
That's everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
With the color grade at the end, what software?
The Resolve, the Blackmagic Resolve.
Is that your baby? Is that your favorite? Or have you worked on any of the others?
Oh yeah,
the other big guys.
Yeah,
the really $200,000 Pablos or whatever they call.
Yeah. I've probably been on at least a dozen platforms over the years. It's really, I do like, I'm an old Da Vinci. When it was Da Vinci, I'm an old Da Vinci user. I ran a different system for a while. I ran a Baselight for a while. It's what you're used to. They're all good. They all have their good points. I like the Resolve.
Do you like what Resolve is doing now, putting in like a full-fledged editing system within the program? That doesn't get in your way, I'm assuming.
No, I don't do a lot of conforming myself. A lot of the guys do that ahead of time. I am working in clip mode, so I do need to be aware of what's going on that way. But the editing is not something I get into that much.
You talked about doing dailies at 2K and the final color grade at 4K. Does resolution make a difference in your color grade?
No, not in my color grade. But remember, like, especially with film, we scanned everything at 2K. Well, now this is a year or two later. Now we're scanning everything at 4K. They don't match. I have to go by memory or what how we did it the first time.
Why wouldn't they match?
It's just it's not something that it just doesn't. In a perfect world, yes.
All right, that solves that.
Yeah.
The other question that we've got from Sore Feet, he said there was a lot of wide angles shot in Night of Cups. Do wide angles make any difference to you? Does the angle of the shot make a difference when you're coloring?
Not really, no. No, I mean, obviously there's differences in the cameras, but the angle or the subject, no. It's all pretty much the same kind of thing.
What makes a great colorist? I mean, what makes you able to work with Terrence Malick and not get fired?
Well, Terry's a really easy guy.
Okay.
He's really easygoing guy.
No, but you obviously are good at what you do. What makes a good colorist?
Communication, I think, more than anything. I mean, you have to know what you're doing, but it's
There's got to be more about learn. I know the tool, but I was looking for those things that we can't see.
Yeah, it's pretty much how do I see what you have in your mind?
Okay.
What colors in your mind?
How do you see what he has in his mind?
I mean, if you explain a scene to me, how do I have to pretty much feel what you're thinking, get an idea of what you want to see. That's probably the trickiest part of it.
So how do you want the director to talk to you? Is he describing it in terms of food or in terms of emotions or colors or what?
Oh, boy, I've heard everything.
I know, but what do you like? What seems to communicate with you? Because no director is going to be able to talk color the way you're going to want to think color.
You know, it's pretty easy to get the point across usually. You know, the hardest ones are when people don't know. They just go, it doesn't look right, I don't know why. Fix it.
Oh, that's helpful.
Yeah. And I've heard that a lot over the years. But usually
That's how directors talk to actors. I don't know, just do it better.
Yeah, exactly.
Do it different.
Yeah, do it different.
It's a communication. It's, you know, more communication than anything else. Just talking about it.
Starting how soon? How much time do you want to think about a color grade?
Well, on this picture, we talked a little bit about it in the beginning, and then we just started in.
So it was the process of doing.
I'm lucky I've been able to work with these guys on a few pictures, so.
But a lot of times, and I'm sure this has happened in your career, you work with these guys and they tell you what they want, and then they go off and do another job, and they don't come back for whenever, and you're left to your own devices and hope to God it works, and because they're just not there all the time.
That's a lot of it.
Yeah,
that's a lot of it.
What to you is the most fun as you're grading a picture? Because the opposite side, what's the most difficult? What's the most fun?
When I have the director or the DP in the room, I can nail it. You know, if I've got them there. Sometimes when they're not around, I don't have any input, I'm guessing. It's easier on a digital capture to do that. It points you in the right direction, but on film scans, it's a little more difficult.
And what's the most difficult? Just when they're not there? Is there a particular part of the job that's trickier than others?
No, it comes down to just once again, communication. There's some people know how to communicate. They don't have to tell me exactly. I mean, I've worked with two directors that are brothers. They both on two different pictures, and they both use salmon. They said it needs more salmon. But they both have a different idea of what salmon is. So figuring out, getting, you know, a feel for what they're going after. But some people just don't know how to communicate. They just don't know what it is that they're looking for.
Quickly, what's your favorite reference monitor?
Dolby.
Oh, that new one?
Well, the Pulsar is great, but
that's big bucks.
Yeah, yeah. I just did some work on it. It's amazing. But
for people who want to take a look at the kind of work that you and your company is doing, where can it go on the web?
That's a good question.
How
I don't really know.
MVF.com.
MVF.com,
yeah. A great answer. Yes. Stands for Modern VideoFilm, MVF.com, and Bryan McMahan is a colorist and not a webmaster for Modern VideoFilm. Bryan, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Take care. There's never enough time to get everybody in and out of the studio. We have got to figure out a way to stretch that. Poor Mike is just dashing to get from one side.
I could have done
it
in my 20s much faster.
Yes, you could, and that was just a couple of years ago. Mike, do you notice the big gossip today is that Randy Ubilos has retired from Apple?
I actually sent him a note, and he wrote back because the whole web is blowing up.
Randy Ubilos is the guy that wrote Final Cut, is the principal designer for Final Cut 10, all the Final Cut series. He also designed Adobe Premiere, the first 3 versions of Premiere, designed Aperture. The industry is hugely indebted to the work that Randy did.
Yeah, and he's going off to snorkel in a week.
To snorkel.
He's going to snorkel. He's going diving, as he says, but it's snorkeling. I said.
New software for deep sea diving coming shortly.
Well, I'm sure we're going to hear a lot about him for whatever he's going to do. And I don't think retirement is the word that is.
Sitting in a rocking chair does not strike me as something he's going to be good at. The other big news is that it looks like Comcast and Time Warner are not going to be merging, according to Bloomfield.
I didn't find that as a shock, but I still kind of find it as a shock because generally the government, for whatever reasons, allow these behemoths to merge, much to the chagrin of the rest of the world, but it ain't going to happen.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting time.
Which is a good thing.
Comcast owns NBC Universal, which
Unless you're a Dodger fan. And it's a bad thing.
Not that you have strong opinions on this. I want to thank our guests for today's show, Jem Schofield, the producer, director, and founder of the C47, Sam Mestman, Final Cut workflow architect and founder of FCPWorks, and Bryan McMahan, feature film colorist at Modern VideoFilm. There's a lot of history in our industry, and it's all posted to our website at digitalproductionbuzz.com, including all of our NAB coverage. You can talk with us on Twitter at DPBuzz and Facebook at digitalproductionbuzz.com. Our theme music is composed by Nathan Doogie Turner. Additional music on the Buzz provided by smartsound.com. Text transcripts provided by Take One Transcription, and our producer, the ever-beautiful Serena Catania. Our engineering team, led by Megan Paulos, and includes Alexia Chalita, Ed Golia, Keegan Guy, and Brianna Murphy. On behalf of Mike Horton, that's him, my name is Larry Jordan. Thanks for watching and listening to the Digital Production Buzz.
And I'm going home to sleep. Goodbye.
The Digital Production Buzz was brought to you by Shutterstock.com, a global marketplace for royalty-free images and videos. With over 2 million royalty-free HD and 4K video clips, Shutterstock helps you take your creative projects to the next level. And by Otherworld Computing, providing quality hardware solutions and extensive technical support to the worldwide computer industry since 1988.